everybody, this is Elissa from Mink Arts and Crafts, and tonight we are going to do tonight I'm filming this on Friday night so that way I can get it up at a decent time on Saturday instead of having it like dwindle into the ether in the weekend. But this video, today's post, is going to be a kitting down / organizing in chat instead of my normal WIP in chat. So I was going to do a WIP in chat of Cat with Big Eyes, which is my Claws and Paws canvas, and then I realized that I have not done anything. I was so focused on finishing my kits for August that I literally have not done any kitting down or organization for the entire month of August, and I'm like, I need to do something with all of this chaos. So this is like literally I have had my kits like stashed. So here was my Usagi City, like literally the drills are just sitting here like this, and here is Talisman just sitting here like that. Here's all of the baggies for the special drills sitting here just like this, and then here are my Paint Gem Around the World edition 2 sitting here just like this, because I do keep these, which I have some blank canvases, and I did just purchase some cross stitch patterns for a little holiday one because it had pink flamingos, and you guys, seriously, I love my pink flamingos. So I'm going to do these little cross stitch minis. They're like this big. They're actually cross stitch patterns that I just need to source some canvases, and I want to try to use the drills that I already have to try to do these because they're very small kits, and I'm just going to source the drills, and I just need to get the canvases. That's my only thing, is I need to get the canvases, and I could probably get away with just buying like one big canvas, and then that would take care of all of the little mini patterns that I've done. But I want to use the drills that I already have for those, and I may try them out in rounds and see what they look like in rounds, and then also using like these little Paint Gem minis sets, use some of these square drills, and then also the squares that I have in my stash. So this is what I'm gonna kind of do. So kind of sitting underneath my Elizabeth Ward containers back there that you can't see are my rounds and my square spare drill storage, because I have not actually yet taken my round spare drills or my square spare drills out of the original container that I had rounds and spares in to actually separate them out. So I kind of sort of organized it a little bit when I got the square container in one of my previous small shop hauls, but I haven't actually taken the time to separate the drills out because August has been so crazy. So I haven't even done that yet. So we'll see how far I get through this process in this video, and then when the video is done, I'm going to continue working because I've got a lot of work to do. And then this is my my specialty drill storage. For the majority of my specialty drills, all my special drills are basically rounds. I have a handful of squares, but again, you guys know my thoughts on squares. I do the squares because I like the image, not because I enjoy the squares. It's because I could not get that image in rounds. So I did it. So that's what we're going to get going on. And I think I'm going to start with the special drills just because we'll get those done. Those will go quicker. I was working outside and I washed my hands, but I swear, my screen, it's really nice and cool out there this evening because we had some storms rolling through. So I was like, ooh, I can turn my AC off and I can open the house and have a little bit of a breather. And this is fantastic. And then I realized that my screen door was completely off its track, so I had to put the screen door back on track. And yeah, so I was out there doing that, so my hands are a little from that. So these are all of the special drills that I used for Talisman. So you can see I used quite a few. I'm going to condense these down into one bag because I used kind of like 2 baggies for that. There were a lot of those. And a lot of different special drills. And we're going to do these, and I'm basically going to kind of come down the list of these special drills and kind of put them with what they belong with. The Crystal 700 is one from shimmering canvases. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful start. These, once my sparklers are kitted up into this little container, because the bag that they come in doesn't seal, I keep them in this container, and they go in a little storage just like this. So this one I'm not going to put in my regular stuff. It's going to stay just like that. So I hope you guys are enjoying the beginning of the weekend. So anybody not in the US, this is currently, is that 8:02 or 6:02? Did I write that wrong? I did write that wrong. Do I need to adjust my, yeah, I'm really bad at writing things incorrectly, apparently. I'll have to check my logbook. Did I write that down wrong in my logbook? Because I have it at 6:02 on the bag, and apparently I wrote 8:02. So did I write it right in here? I did write it wrong in here. So let me update that on here. So that's a 6:02. I've been transposing a lot of numbers incorrectly. There. So anyways, let's see what other special drills. Anyways, so we're rolling into the coffee sparklers. Gonna go separate, and ooh, I didn't even separate these out. It's not a lot in here. Yeah, I need to do that. I feel like that's a task for another day. I don't feel like doing that right now. And metallic bronze. So you guys get to see a little bit of my method of madness. This is the part that takes the longest, is going to be the starting out process of organizing these. And then it'll kind of cruise through. But I did use a lot of, that one's empty, AB 3865. This I kind of poured straight from the bag, and this one I poured straight from the bag. So that's proper. Okay, these will kit up just like this into my storage. All right, and we will kind of get sorted and then go from there. So these ones and these ones can go like that. So I hope everybody has had a great week. So I'm trying to think of where we left off. Oh, yeah, so I did very little diamond painting last weekend. So I took a couple days off. I took Thursday and Friday of the prior week. Let's see, of the week prior off, of like the 24th and 25th of August off. And then I should set my timer. Let me set my timer so that way I know how long to go, because otherwise I will just keep talking and not pay attention. So this gives me a good idea timing wise. So that way I can have a quick look and I don't go too long. All right, so we've got one baggie down. So I took the 24th and the 25th off of August for my birthday. So that rolled into a nice 4-day weekend, which was nice. It was great to have a nice break. I did some diamond painting a little bit on the 24th, a little bit on the 25th, but I really did very little diamond painting on the 24th and the 25th, which was kind of like, I don't know, sometimes you feel like you need a little bit of the break. And then I was playing around with some resin stuff, which actually, since I'm sitting here on my desk, I can show you some of the resin goodies that I was playing with. And then Saturday and Sunday, of course, was the regular weekend. So actually, we're going to do a little show and tell while we're at it. I played with a lot of resin goodies, you guys. So played around with some resin because I was like, I wanted to, and this is because, I can never find the goodies that I want resin-wise because I'm very particular on what I want. So I started off with like these little resin koi fish because I love my Asian stuff. It's the Asian influences with me being an Asian brush painter, Chinese brush painter, however you want to think of it. So I started with these little 3 koi fish and I was playing around with them. There's definitely some imperfections because this was my first time working with resin and playing with it. So those ones were my first ones. So I played with those guys, and then I also did, I don't know if it comes through very well, so these I'm going to turn into cover minders. You can kind of see the Om on here, and then a Hamsa hand on this one in the gold. And then I did all of these inside this tray. I'll show you the tray in a moment. So inside this tray, you can see all of these super, super gorgeous little pink and gold flowers. So all these little pink flowers in here, those I'll pull out. I played around, made all these little flowers. There's like a little tiny little cat head. The tray is super slippery because it's a resin tray. So I played around with these. That was my first batch, was all of these little flowers. Super, super pretty. I love how they turned out. There's some imperfections, but it really, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So I did the golds, I did the pinks, and then my second set, I was like, I want to try a tray. And I decided I wanted to do shades of green. So my second set, I tried the koi in the greens. Not a fan of the colorway for this koi, but I love how it turned out. It turned out much better, so I worked out some of the kinks of it. And then, of course, I had to do a little turtle. I'm not super fan of this mold. It has some sharp edges with this mold, but I like these little turtles. This one had more greens to them. So this one was more bluesies with that color, but you can kind of see some of the greens in that koi. But this turtle, I liked how this one turned out a little bit more. So there's that one. And then I had a couple of these like tiny little monstera leaves. And then the big green monstera leaf, these will make some great cover minders. So those ones. And then I used the extra leftover stuff to kind of pour out, because I was with some of the stuff that I was pouring, I did the extra stuff to pour out this little Buddha. I kind of ran out, so he was a little flat on the back. But it didn't turn out, it kind of pooled differently than how it was supposed to, so he ended up a little weird on his greens. But then look at how this tray turned out. I was very pleased with how it turned out exactly how I wanted, how I mixed like the 3 or 4 different types of glitter to get this to pour how I wanted, with the glitter that I wanted here on the rim, and then the glitters inside the tray. And it turned out very much how I wanted. And then I made the background, so when you turn it over, it's very much this flat backing. I still need to put the little clear plastic silicone little tabbies on the bottom. But that was like my first resin set of goodies. Let me put these all right in here so they're out of the way. I know, I got distracted. I'm like squirrel moments. I've been having fun playing with these. I still don't know what I'm going to do with them because I don't have the patience. I'm going to make them into cover minders, and I may turn them into like magnets and things like that. And some of them I'm going to keep. I may turn them into gifts for friends. I don't have the patience or the bandwidth to really add doing like any kind of store or anything like that to what I'm doing right now. So right now this is just for me. So I did 2 different days. That was like Friday night and then Saturday night, playing with resin. And then Sunday night, I was like, okay, I really like the golds, so I wanted to do another batch of the koi, and I did some more koi with more whites in these, because I really, really like these. Eventually, at some point, I may decide to do something potentially selling them, but look at how those ones turned out. Super, super fun. I did a handful of the flowers, another batch of those little flowers. Another one of these monsteras with some golds and some pinks to it. Another batch of all of these little tiny flower molds because they don't take up much of the resin. And these will take some little magnets. And I could use these as like regular magnets, or I could just use them as cover minders. I love how this Buddha turned out. So he's got some gold flake in his face and in his front, and then he kind of goes towards the clear in the back. And he turns out great. So he can sit flat like this, or he can sit upright like this. So I love how that one turned out. And then look at how the Hamsa hand tray turned out. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. I love it. So I love, 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 love how this turned out. It was exactly how I was picturing it in my head. I've got gold flake in the around the walls of it. And then I've got a little bit of like a rainbowy type of glitter in the body. And then in the background, I've got like this clearish, like opaque-ish white. So I was super pleased. It was exactly how I was picturing it, exactly what I wanted. So like this is literally what I spent the weekend doing instead of diamond painting. I spent the weekend playing with resin. So that was like part of, I did Sunday night's pour. And then I also did this. So I was playing with different molds. So here was another Buddha, different style. I did more of like a regular gold glitter with a different type of mold, so he can again sit like this or sit upright. And then I was playing with some of these other molds. Some of the molds I didn't like how they turned out, so I pulled those ones that I didn't like off to the side. But these are some different types of succulents with the rounded edges. I did them where they could be gold in the center, and then some pinks, because I like the golds and the pinks. And then of course, these tiny little pink flamingos. Got cat hair all over this already. these little pink flamingos. More of because again, I was doing that batch of the flowers for the cover minders, for those little flower cover minders, just in the different shades. And every single time you pour, they're going to be different. So pinks and golds for those. That one didn't turn out. I have like a little paw print, another paw print, some plumeria, another plumeria of different size. Those paw prints and those cat face didn't turn out, so those ones, I don't know why I put them in there, because they need to go in the don't turn out pile. And then here's the little cat face. And then the one that I was aiming for, and I was doing some practices, because this one right here is my lotus flower, or my lotus petal tray. Look at that. So this one has the gold flake in the rim. And then next time I'm going to do a little bit less of this green iridescent type stuff. I have to play around with it, but look at that. Oh, it is beautiful. And I kept it just that clear green iridescent flake because I wanted it to kind of look like an actual lotus. I mean, that was beautiful. So I was super excited about that tray. And then let me put those guys back in there. But yeah, that was where the lotus or the resin pours that I was doing. But I'm only letting myself play with resin on the weekends because otherwise I would get too into it and to like go too far. But yes, so I was having a blast. That was what I did on the weekend instead of diamond painting. I diamond painted some on Thursday, some on Friday, and then I played with resin. And I had so much fun. It was a blast. I enjoyed it. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of it, but I had a blast and I had fun. And it was definitely fun. So yes, so I played with resin. And then other than that, I didn't really do a lot other than playing with resin. Take that off. I'm gonna make a stack of these. And then had to go to work on Monday. So, rolled right into work on Monday, which was back to work. It was super busy because I was seeing lots of patients, super, super busy. Busy day on Monday, long day, busy day on Tuesday, long day, busy day on Wednesday. I feel like I did nothing but like work, long days. And I'm like back in school. So finally on, I think Tuesday night, I was like, crap, I haven't registered for my classes yet. I need to actually register for classes. So I finally did that on Tuesday evening because I was like, seriously, just register for your stinking classes, Alyssa. Like, come on. Enough of this slacking business. Register for your stinking classes. So I finally did that on Tuesday evening. Registered for my classes, which the only class, which really was just registering for another semester of my dissertation project, which I should hopefully get my approval to proceed on my project this semester, which means that I can do, once I get the approval to proceed on my project, then I can basically get the IRB approval. I can basically submit it for IRB approval through my hospital. And once I get that, then I submit it for IRB approval through my school. And once I get that, then I can actually start on my research project. So for my Doctor of Science that I'm doing, I have to do my dissertation is a research study. So I have to actually design a research study involving however I wanted to do it, but in my case it's going to involve patients and using subjects. I have to design a research study from start to finish, the entire process, and actually then conduct said research study and then submit it, write up the paper, and the whole process from start to finish, and submit it for scientific journals for publication to try to get it published. And then I have to do my defense as well. So it's the whole shebang for it. And it's so much lead work and so much hassle leading up to this whole thing. And I'm like, I just want to be done. I had so much, I was like doing really good and I was so motivated for like the first year and a half working on my Doctor of Science. I was so motivated for the first year and a half when I was actually doing all my classes. And now that I'm done with all my classes, I have like no motivation. Well, I have one more class to do in the spring, which will be like a leadership class that I do in the spring. And then, but other than that, like I knew that was going to happen. I have one actual class, physical class, virtual class. I have my leadership class to do in the spring. And other than that, I have my dissertation to work on until I finish that. And then I have a big exam that I have to do in person at my school, which is in Michigan. And then I'll do that, I think in the spring is when I'm slated to take that exam. That's a comprehensive practical exam. And then, so I have one class and this massive exam in the spring. My actual dissertation, which is a multi-semester project. So that's just going to be ongoing, and it's kind of like my pace as far as when I finish it. And then this semester, I'm working on my dissertation, and I have to do some what are called mentorship hours, where I go work in a physical therapy clinic with somebody who has certain certifications and training with like high level, certain degree of training. I'm going to grab my ABs from here, which really was this one and the bubbles, the starfish bubbles. Those were the only ones that I had, because those were the only two that I added. And I just poured them straight from the bag. So I'm so close to finishing. And well, so basically my mentorship hours, I have to go work in this physical therapy clinic under the supervision of somebody with special certifications. And the closest physical therapist where I'm at here in California that actually meets all of those qualifications. I'm like, oh, it's so close to fitting. Why does it have to do this to me? Darn it. Okay, well, in that case, I'm just going to pour you all back in the bag. Maybe? No. Come on. Why can't you all fit in the baggie? Why can't you fit in the baggie? Okay, I'm going to pour you guys into a slightly bigger container. The bubbles are bigger than the sparklers. A thing of sparklers will fit in one of these tiny containers, but a thing of bubbles will not fit in one of these tiny containers. So for this additional, or for my mentor that I'm working with is actually in Seattle. And I have to do 60 hours working with my mentor in Seattle over the course of, before I do this comprehensive exam that I do, which is a practical exam that I do in the spring. And my mentor, these little gnats. I feel like now that the weather has been rainy, the gnats, after our like pseudo hurricane, the gnats have been out in full force. So my mentor is in Seattle, so I have to either drive to Seattle or fly to Seattle to work with my mentor. And it's one or the other, and I have to do 60 hours over the course of the my Doctor of Science, but I have to do it before I take that comprehensive final exam, that in-person kind of oral practical exam, which I'm slated to take in the spring. And I've done 2 trips up to Seattle so far, and I have 23 hours left to do with my mentor, who again is in Seattle. So, and the big kicker is when I do those, I'm paying the school credit hours for the credits for the mentorship hours, which is usually like 1 credit hour per semester, but still you're paying tuition for that. But then when I go to do the mentorship hours, I have to pay the therapist that I'm mentoring with, I have to pay an hourly fee, which he charges, he doesn't charge a ton, which compared to some of the other classmates. So he only charges $75 an hour, which is cheap compared to some people. But if I have to do 60 hours, you can do the math. 60 hours, and I have to pay $75 an hour when I go shadow with him. So over the course, like the first time I went, it was I was scheduled for 15 hours, but I think we knocked out like 18 or something. And last time I went up, it was again, we budgeted for like 15 hours, but I did another more than that. And now I only have 23 hours left to do. But I mean, that's like $1,700 when I go up to work with him each time that I'm paying on top of my airfare to get up there, on top of the rental car, on top of the hotel, that I'm paying out of pocket because my GI Bill is paying for my tuition, but I have to pay all those extra fees to go do these mentorship hours. So this semester, I've got to do 23 hours, which I'm like, ugh, this is going to be painful. So I've got that I have to do this semester, and then my dissertation topic. So really, it's not a lot of like actual physical classes this semester because the mentorship hours really, those are not bad at all. Should have put that further over. That's just going and working in his clinic with him, which is really valuable, and it's probably like a very, very valuable part of the training for this Doctor of Science. But it's a very like, the fact that, yeah, I know, it just adds up. Those costs add up. But anyways, I need to email him so I can figure out like when we can coordinate our schedules for when I'm going to go up and work with him in his clinic. He's phenomenal. He actually owns his own clinic, and he has like 10 physical therapists that work for him at his primary clinic. And he just stood up a second facility, just opened another clinic as well. So he's doing really good. He's phenomenal. Love him. And he was like, if you weren't military, I would hire you and I would like poach you and make you move up here to Seattle and hire you to work in one of my facilities, which is really awesome. But I would be very tempted to, like, if I wasn't military, I would be very tempted to move up there and work with him in his clinic and his facility because, like, he's phenomenal, and I love working with him, and I love working with his people. And I would be very tempted to do so. Oh, it's a crystal pearl AB. That's why it's a little bit different than the other. That one's I'm still gonna put it. So this little thing of storage is my crystal ABs. But this one is a crystal pearl AB. That's why this one looked so interesting compared to the others. I'm still going to put it in with my crystal ABs, just because it's very close to the others. And I keep them in their order right there. Anyways, so I registered for my classes, and then after I registered for classes, it was basically like, all right, now I need to, that was like the big thing on Tuesday. I did that, and other than that, I really haven't done, so that's one thing down. We've done one thing in like, how long? Like 20 minutes, and we've done one thing? Like way too long. It took us way too long to do one thing. We're not going to get very far into all of this, you guys. These ones I don't put in here. I put these in a separate storage, so they're going to go over there. Let's put these in order. Pardon my sniffing. My allergies have been off the wall lately, you guys. And then we don't have too many of these. But, yeah, so it's not been super crazy lately, busy-wise. Just had that. The biggest thing is this week, for anybody that's not tracking, and I like we literally just got done dealing with like the hurricane and the weather out here in, oh, those are crystals, okay. We just got done with the weather out here in California where I'm at, and my parents, they live in Florida, and they actually, like, they had, and anybody who's not tracking, Florida, on the western side of Florida, up by near, I call it the armpit. It's kind of like where the Panhandle and the rest of Florida meet. I call it the armpit just because that makes sense to me. That's actually what my mom calls it too. But they just had the Hurricane Idalia came through, and it made landfall in Keaton Beach in that area of Florida. And that's 17 miles south of where, my parents live, you guys. So my mom and dad, my dad was like, oh, I think we'll be fine. We'll be good here. We've got plenty of trees around our property where we're at. And they live full-time in an RV because they decided they wanted to be like nomads and kind of have the flexibility to leave and go wherever they wanted whenever they wanted. So they live full-time in an RV. And my dad, he's spent his entire life as like he's an electrical engineer by training and a IT engineer, and he was like, I want to do something different. So he's now a mobile RV repair technician, and they live in an RV full time. Oh, my crystals need to go in there. So hi, baby. Mochi just announced that she's here. So they, I'm gonna have to do something different because my crystals don't fit in here very well. Mochi just decided she needed to evaluate what we're doing. Well, my dad was like, oh, we're fine. We don't need to leave. And my mom was like, I would just feel better if we evacuated and if we left because we've got the RV. We can just take off and head north a little bit. Like, let's just get out of here. We can do it. Let's just get out of here. Huh, baby? She's going to get in the way and just going to lay here in front of everything. So my dad was like, okay, if you want to leave, like if we're not in agreement about staying, you're shedding. I need to fuzz you. I need to take a lint roller to this cat. So they ended up getting out, leaving. My dad spent like the whole day before they left, like literally doing nothing but, we'll do the paint gems because this is going to take way too long to deal with these ones. My dad spent the whole day before, we'll see, did I even put the paint gems in here or not? I did put paint gems in here. Okay. I was like, I feel like I did actually put paint gems in here. I did. I just didn't do the rest of the squares, but I did the paint gems. But they did the whole, the hurricane was slated to get there on Wednesday. So my dad spent Monday, it was supposed to make landfall like really, really early on Wednesday, I believe, Wednesday morning. So Monday, they were like, okay, we will leave. Tuesday morning is when we'll leave and head out. So Wednesday, he spent the day doing emergency call after emergency call for people who had evacuation orders because they lived in an RV park like right on the coast. So he spent that entire time doing, like I said, emergency call after emergency call, doing kind of like to help people get their slides in on their RV, because if you don't have your slide pulled in, you can't leave if your slide isn't pulled in. Like you can't pull out and get out of there if your slide is out. Like that's like that RV, that's how RVs work. You can't get out of there if the slides are dangling out into, the ether. So it was like, okay, that's what he spent the day doing. And my mom, and they like stocked up on gas, filled up the truck, both of their pickup trucks, and then filled up the RV as well. And then he was answering call after call, spent the entire day busy doing that. They were helping, making sure, like, one of their friends who didn't want to evacuate, she was like, nope, I'm staying here. So they made sure that she was set as best as possible, got her slides in, and they were doing that. That's kind of what they did for the Monday. And then Tuesday morning, they stopped in, made sure their friend was good to go. And then they were like, all right, well, we gotta, like, take off. So they took off and ended up going just slightly north. And they ended up going, like, north and west. So it was, like, about 2 hours, about an hour 45. They found a campground with full hookups for the RV about an hour 45 north and west of them. From where they live, which again was, like I said, is about 17 miles north of Keaton Beach, which is where the hurricane actually ended up making landfall. So they ended up stopped there because they're like, hey, we're out of the path of the hurricane, but we're close just in case so that way they could head back down once everything was cleared. So they were there, they got all settled in with the dogs, and they were good to go. And then everything, they were there for good to go for everything. And then on Wednesdays, when everything hit, and they had some friends of theirs that are still down in down where they live, were sent on Wednesday, sent them photos of kind of like the after effects from where they're at. And oh my goodness, there was other than like the fact of, you know, no power, there were so many trees. It like went through, and there were like 3-4 foot diameter trees that were just completely snapped like logs. Like, it was like, it's a small, tiny, small community, but it just like completely completely flattened the whole place. So they ended up, like, they were like, all right, they had packed up and loaded up one of the generators in the back of the pickup truck just to be on the safe side. And they were like, all right, we're prepared just in case, regardless of what happens, we're kind of like good to go. And then they ended up going back down, driving back down on Thursday morning, because then some of the roads had actually been cleared so they could actually get back down. And my mom was sending me some photos from them, like driving down to check on their place. And it was like, she sent me the photos, and at first I'm like, oh, that doesn't look like too bad. You could actually like drive down the driveway and everything. And she's like, that's not the driveway, Alyssa. She's like, that's the road. And I'm like, wait, what? Because, you know, it's like you're kind of driving like this down the road, and it's like one lane, trees kind of like pushed off to the side. It looks like they had been cleared, and that was because one of the neighbors had come down and basically took the chainsaw to all the trees that were across the road and drug them off enough that you could actually drive down the road, because they live in a rural area. And it was basically, it was essentially, the road was to the point where it looked as like forlorn, as like, basically like their driveway is very, very like jungly. It's like Florida jungle is their driveway. The road was basically Florida jungle for the road to get to their driveway. And it looked like their driveway normally does. And I thought that the road was their driveway. And then when, at the end of the video that my mom sent me, she was like, yeah, this is the driveway. And I'm like, what driveway? And she's like, exactly. There were so many trees that had fallen across their driveway that you couldn't even see that there was a driveway there. Like, for them to walk, normally it's like from the mailbox up to the little cabin that they have up at in like the meadow area, as my mom calls it, of their place where they normally park their RV. It's normally like 3 to 5 minute walk. It took them over 20 minutes, and that was like climbing over and around things, over 20 minutes to get back there to their place from the road of what normally is like a 3-minute little walk. And there were so many trees down there, and oh my goodness, I'm just like, wow. And they're estimating, like optimistically, they're saying that it could take up to like 2 to, that one we can actually leave right there. So optimistically, they're like, yeah, it will take, some people are like, oh, it could take like 2 days for us to get the power back. But realistically, it's looking like the majority of people may actually get power back within 2 weeks, but that's actually in town, and they live about 10 minutes out from town. But it could take up to, a couple months for everybody to get power back and get all the power lines up, because the power line was like completely down, like to the point where you're driving down the road. Like, my dad called the power company today and was like, hey, can you guys put it on your to-do list? Because they have a to-do list of things after a disaster like this. he's like, can you put it on your to-do list to come and pick up the power line so it doesn't get wrapped around somebody's axle, because the power line runs, the road is like this and the power line runs like this and zigzags around the road. And the power line is laying completely like along, like in the road, down the middle of the road. Like that's the entire road. That's like literally their power line. So, yeah, it's crazy. But thankfully, like, my parents were not there, so they're safe. Their place, like, their cabin is safe. Their trailers are safe. Like, their big, like, hauling stuff trailers. Their fishing boat's safe. It's just a lot of trees that are down. Like, a lot of trees. And they have such a good spirit about it. And my dad is like, well, we were talking about, clearing out some trees to open up some more light and some more space out here. And my mom was like, yeah, that's like, literally, that's the only, all you can do is have a good attitude about it after something like this. My dad has been already super busy. Oh, baby. Already super busy, because he's, taking care of people. They had to go check up on the friend of theirs that didn't want to evacuate and get out of there. They had to go get her hooked up with the generator that thankfully they had in the truck, because if they didn't have the generator, they wouldn't have been able to get her hooked up on power, and she has breathing issues and needs AC in order to be able to breathe properly. Baby, it's a mochi cat, huh, babes? Were you chilly? Were you sitting in front of the window or the open door? You're a chilly cat. Hi, purr babes. Hi. So, yeah, it's just crazy, you guys. I don't know what's up with the weather so much. So, it'll be interesting to see. So, they've got a spot. My dad's going to trade some, like, the barter system is alive, you all. My dad's going to trade some, free work on, he's going to trade some RV repairs for a spot in another spot with hookups for power, well, when it has power back down there, because nobody has power there right now. That's in town, so it's only, like a couple miles down the road from where they're at, so that way they can actually, be able to start working on clearing out the trees and getting everything done where they're at, because otherwise, they can't keep making a 2-hour drive anytime they want to do anything, and they've only got the campground where they're at booked until Tuesday. Hi, sweet pea. This is my lovey-dovey. I love you, Mochrouse. Mochi babes. Are you my girlfriend? Oh my goodness. Use my Moch cat. So anyways, needless to say, and then my mom and I were talking today, and she was reading a news article that ABC News put on, and like literally, and she was so ticked off because like literally the news article was talking about how thankfully the hurricane made land in a rural area with few people, so the insurance companies don't have to worry about a lot of payoffs. So it's going to be a lot less impact for the insurance companies than what it was with the hurricane last year, which hit where my parents spend part of the year with my grandpa in the summertime down in like the middle of Florida. So this is now the second hurricane that's impacted where they live. Go figure. This is what you get when you live in Florida. But anyways, and my mom is like, the insurance companies. They're worried about the insurance companies when people have lost their livelihoods in their houses. Thankfully, my parents didn't lose anything beyond, like a lot of trees and a lot of hard work that they have to put in to get everything good to go. But other people have lost their houses. They've lost, like, their places have been completely totaled because of this. And she was like, and the news article is like, oh yeah, the insurance companies don't have to worry about as many payouts. So needless to say, she was ticked. She was like, they're worried about the insurance companies because it was a rural area, and yet nothing about the people that were affected. So she was just a little ticked off about that. But anyways, I digress. Enough about the hurricane. So that was basically my week. And that brings me to today. I had nothing really much. This weekend, I will be rolling into a 3-day weekend, which will be nice. I'm looking forward to not having to work on Monday for the holiday, so that'll be enjoyable. I am going on Sunday. I will be going down to Palm Springs. You are not climbing in my box. No, you do not need the box. I am going down to Palm Springs to watch Cirque du Soleil. They're down in Palm Springs this weekend and last weekend, and I'm going to be watching, doing a show. They're doing the Corteo show, so I'm excited for that. I haven't been to, I'm excited for it, but also I'm kind of like, I have to go actually be in a huge crowd. I don't do huge crowds anymore. I haven't really done big crowds like that since my Afghanistan deployment. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm like, darn it, I don't want to have to deal with all those people. I don't like big crowds of people. So looking forward to it, but at the same time, not looking forward to it, if that makes sense. But I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have fun, and I'm glad that I have Monday off of work to recover from the fact that no, we're not going in the box. No, we're not climbing in the box, baby. No. So diamond painting news, because I've talked about all the things except for diamond painting. So I did make a purchase from, I've been holding off, but I did make a purchase from, I forgot to write down the name of what it was. Oh, darn it. Oh, gosh. What did I purchase? What was the name of the kit that I purchased? I actually purchased like 3 kits from that I've been wanting. 2 that were on my wish list, and then one of the new releases from Jaded Gem Shop this week, because I purchased the painter so that way I could get my kit for Night Court November. So I purchased that. Here, you can lay in this. This is a sort of box mochi. Here. So I purchased my Night Court November canvas, which is going to be the painter, because obviously I'm a painter. So I purchased that one. And then I purchased one of the new releases. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was the one of the woman with the mask. I'll throw it in the subtitles right below so you can see the name of the kits that I purchased, the painter, and then there was 2 others. I'll post the 2 others there. One of them was one of the new releases that she posted. I saw that and I'm like, I'm ordering that. Must have. Because I was going to order the painter, and then if I was ordering the painter, I was just going to order another canvas. And then the third one, because I was like, okay, I'm getting this other one as well, was very, also reminded me of was another Asian influenced one. So I'll kind of actually, rather than throwing them in the footnotes, I'm actually going to just throw up the image so you can see the image of the 3 kits that I purchased from Jaded Gem Shop. And those would be my purchases that I did this week. I am, by the time this goes up, I will have probably already purchased from Diamond Art Club. This is the first time the Diamond Art Club has got me in a while. I wasn't planning on doing it. There goes Mylan coughing in the background. Poor baby. We do have her scheduled to see the cardiologist, but they're usually booked about a month out. But my vet says that's actually a really good timeline, and that a lot of the cardiologists are booked about 2 to 3 month wait for non-emergency visits to get in to see a cardiologist. So that's actually really good timeline to get in to see the cardiologist. So I'm pleased with that. So Mylan will see the cardiologist the week after I get back from visiting my parents in Florida. Diamond Art Club is coming out with a few new kits, and there's 2 of them that I'm like, okay, I think I want those kits. There was actually 3 that I wanted, and the more I was looking at the one, I really wanted the Ohm one, but the more I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, I think it's just too much purple. I really wanted it because it had the Ohm, and I love anything that has like that Asian influence, or that, and Ohm is really a like Buddhist type symbol, kind of like has some of its roots in Buddhism, and like I love a lot of the principles. And if you ever studied any kind of, like, I've done some religion classes as part of my Doctor of Science, actually. But if you've ever studied any religions, it's really fascinating studying some other religions and learning about them. But there's a lot of components of it that I find fascinating and really interesting. A lot of the principles and like, I've actually been to the Potala Palace, which was the Dalai Lama's like main palace and the seat of government in Tibet prior to China kind of taking over and ousting and basically essentially trying to oust in basic. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but basically prior to the Dalai Lama fleeing from Tibet, that was the Dalai Lama's seat of government in Tibet was at the Potala Palace. And I've actually been throughout Tibet, and I love Southeast Asia. So I was like, I really wanted that one, but as I was looking at it, I was like, I really love that image, but do I want it in squares? And that was the thing, because it's a lot of confetti, and the more I looked at it, the more I was like, I love it, but I do not want it in squares. So I'm not going to get that one as much as I was like, I have to have it. So I decided no, just because squares, I just couldn't bring myself. Why do I have a 437 right here? Like, seriously, how did this end up over here? Seriously? I decided I couldn't do it. I can't, I'm like, no, I can't do something that confetti heavy in squares. And then I was like, okay, because DAC is having their buy one, get one 50% off for Labor Day. And I'm like, well, then I'm going to get 2 kits. And I'm going to get the Jessie one because I already have Genesis 1. So I kind of had to get Genesis 2. I wish they were doing it in rounds though, because Genesis 1 was round. So I'm like, why, for something that you already released number 1 in rounds, why do you have to do number 2 in squares? Seriously? Can't you have consistency? That annoys me when they do that. I'm like, just make them all the same. That annoys me. I don't know if it annoys you guys when they do that. When they start like a series and they have half the series round and half the series squares. So I'm getting Genesis 2. I think it's I love the colors, and I already have Genesis 1. That was one that I finished way back. One of my earliest Diamond Art Clubs that I finished. So you guys can see that if you look back on my early canvases. And then I also am going to do the Mrs. Buttered kit because it's very pretty. I love the soft colors for it. And I'm going to do that one. And I love the fact that you can choose that one in round or squares. So guess what? I'm choosing it in rounds. So that's going to be the other one that I order, which normally I would not buy this many kits. But it's really, I want the Jessie canvas, Genesis 2, I want that one. And with the buy one, get one 50% off, that's basically 25% off each canvas. And it'll get me the free shipping. And normally I'm like, I'll just pay the shipping because you're saving money by not buying 2 canvases, because that's just a marketing scheme for them to say, oh, free shipping, if you spend this much, you're really spending more money than the $10 in shipping. So normally I just buy the 1 canvas, but it's for 2 canvases that I like and I would want anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and get those. But on my to buy list, probably in September, I do want to purchase, at some point this month, I do want to purchase from Bella Safina. They have, she has, Sandy, the owner, has some beautiful, beautiful canvases that she's releasing, or well, she just released Friday night, tonight, from her kit. So I want to kind of look through, and I'll probably get like 2 from her. So I just have to like pick out which 2 I want to get. Because I'm going to try to limit myself. Ideally, I'm going to try to keep it to a maximum of 2 kits at a time when I make a purchase to kind of like limit myself. But that's my goal. So that's where we're at with that. My small shop hauls, I still have some stuff that I purchased kind of around my birthday time frame. that I'm waiting to come in. Some stuff has already come in, and I've already kind of like pre-filmed those videos, and some stuff I'm waiting to come in. And then I'm not going to be doing much on the, besides like some putty drops for some putty scents and flavors that I'm like, must have, thank you very much. Cause I did like a bulk of new to me shops. But other than that, I'm significantly slowing down. You'll see like a bunch of stuff in the month of September, but that's all stuff that I like purchased in like early to mid August. I'm like gonna be like really limiting how much I purchase in September for like small shops, but you guys probably won't see that much just because I've got a lot of like, I think you probably won't notice it necessarily until the October time frame. And then my small shop hauls may end up being just like 1 to 2 items, but I have some backlog of stuff just from the videos. But there's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I feel like there was something I was going to say that I can't remember. I don't remember. If there's something else, I don't remember. Other than the fact that it's almost time for me to go on vacation. I am so ready for a vacation. I have not gone on an actual for fun vacation in way too long. I feel like I have done nothing but school trips. Every time I've gone on a trip for like the last 2 years, it's literally been for school. I did go to like a non-school trip to Michigan, but that was for my grandma's memorial, and that was like literally I flew up on a Thursday night. No, I flew up on a Friday night. The memorial was on Saturday, and then I flew out on Sunday. Like that's literally how fast the trip was. And other than that, like I've literally been school for like the last 2 years. So I am like, and I'm the person that I usually do 2 international trips every single year. So for the last 2 years, I have not gone on an international trip at all. And it is like, my soul is withering. My soul is withering. I love to travel. I love to go fun places, but all of my like travel funds have been like sucked away into the abyss of flying back and forth to Michigan for school and going to Seattle for school. So this will be my first time actually doing a for fun trip and to visit my parents. It'll also might be my first time seeing, oh, that's easy. Boom. 37.90. I'm like, that doesn't look right because it was a totally wrong drill bag. This will be my first time visiting my parents since they've moved from Kentucky to Florida. So first time down there seeing them. I did see them. Has it really been that long? Oh my gosh, I was just trying to think of the last time that I actually physically saw my parents. And I think the last time I actually physically saw them was, oh gosh, did I even go anywhere over Christmas? I don't think I did. Did I go anywhere over Christmas? No, I didn't. So the last time I saw them was last year in August. Because I don't think I went anywhere over the holidays. And they were, no. So, yeah, I have not seen them since August. And that's like a long time for us to go without seeing each other. So I'm really looking forward to going to Florida at the end of the month. And seeing them. So I just have like 2.5 weeks before I get to see them. I'm really looking forward to that. So I can hug my mama's neck and say hello to the girls. So Ruby and Essie, the dogs, get to see the girls. And of course see my dad as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to be doing a lot of physical manual labor. I'm going to be helping them chop some trees. We're going to have some fun as well. It's not going to be all, physical labor, but they've helped me so much with my house and remodeling. Every time I move somewhere, they help me out and they help me remodel. So I'm like, I told my mom, I'm like, okay, I'll bring my comfies, or I'll bring my like work clothes and I'll help you guys chop some trees and do some stuff. as long as you provide me with some gloves. And my mom was like, oh, we got plenty of gloves. So I'm going to help her with that. My mom and I picked out some, last night, we picked out some diamond paintings so we can have the ones that my mom will do while we're out there. So she can have some variety and kind of pick which one she wants to do for the WIP Chat. And then I've got like 4 of the Amazon ones, because then if she doesn't like it, she doesn't have to do it, and she won't feel guilty about whether she doesn't like it or not. So we did that, but we finished the paint gems, and now I'm going to close out the video, and then I need to get going on the rest of my kitting down of the other stuff. But at least those are done, and I have the rest of them to do. But anyways, lots of stuff to go, but I will let you guys go. I tried to keep it under an hour. Didn't quite happen this time. But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the holiday weekend, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.